A frontier is a line of division between different or opposed things. Around 2,500 years ago, most countries and tribes had extremely inhumane ways of governing, where the defeated were taken as slaves and forced to give up their values, cultures, beliefs, and religions. However, unlike others, the Achaemenid dynasty took in these conquered territories and allowed them to keep their language, government, values, and beliefs. The Achaemenid dynasty, which is a part of the Persian Empire, lasted from around 550 to 330 BC. At the time, it covered almost the whole known world. The rapid expansion of the empire demanded more advanced ways of governing and taking care of their citizens. When Cyrus the Great, the first ruler of the dynasty, was forming the newly built empire, he had realized that the Assyrians had also tried to rule a diverse group of people. However, they eventually fell. From analyzing the empire, he had decided that having a good public image to those he conquered was important. So he cared about his conquered people regardless of their background or ethnicity, and had an effective government system to rule his diverse land. The Achaemenid dynasty's leaders are an example of a frontier that is important in history because they had created a culturally inclusive community and they had an advanced administrative system. The Achaemenid dynasty had a large inclusive community, making it a frontier in history. Cyrus was not as cruel to the people that he conquered as other rulers. Although they were his enemy during war, he tolerated them and treated them respectfully, unlike other rulers who were cruel and abusive to those they conquered. Cyrus's policy of generosity toward the conquered became standard Persian practice. Among the imperial peoples of history, the Persians remained outstanding in their ready tolerance of local customs and religions. For 2,500 years ago, having a leader as tolerant as the Persians was a phenomenon. Their policies were also influential to other rulers from different empires from all parts of the world. When Cyrus took control of Babylon in 539 BC, he created the Cyrus Cylinder, the first charter of human rights, which held records of his conquest. The text proclaims that Cyrus restored religious practices and allowed exiled people to return home. Through Cyrus, the enslaved Jews were released from captivity and allowed to return to Palestine. Cyrus did not believe in slavery. He believed that all people were important despite their background. Cyrus was able to be loved instead of feared, which contributed to why he reigned for so long. Cambyses, the second king of the empire, included himself in Egyptian culture. He made presents to the almighty goddess of all good things, Tanith, the mighty one, the divine mother, and to the gods who were in Sais, as all pious kings had done. Cambyses did not know much about the Egyptian religion, so he listened to an Egyptian high official named Uja-Khwarizmi, who gave him advice and guided him. Although he did not believe in the goddess Neith, he showed his appreciation by participating in religious activities that all other Egyptian kings had done. The Achaemenid dynasty was an important frontier in history because it had an innovative and impeccable governmental system. When Cyrus the Great conquered Babylon in 539 BC, he did not change the bureaucratic system at all, but let it run its familiar course. Cyrus allowed previous officials to maintain their positions, allowing Babylon to continue its economic, civic, and religious functions as they normally did, without any disturbances. The only thing Cyrus did was appoint Gobryas, a Persian Han, as the satrap of Babylon. As the governor of Babylon, Gobryas looked over it. He made sure it functioned effectively while following the dynasty's values. The satrapies, which were governors in the Achaemenid dynasty, ruled in the name of a king. They limited the right of self-governance to any local leader, making sure there were no signs of treason. They had some similarities to the governors of today. When satraps were designated to a province, just like today, how governors in the U.S. abide by federal laws, the satraps had to follow their king's rules. This type of government was so strong that it became the standard in the ancient world. After Cyrus's reign ended, Cambyses, his son, followed in his footsteps. When Cambyses took over Egypt in 525 BC, he allowed the Egyptian government to stay, just like his father did with Babylon. Not only that, instead of getting rid of pharaohs, Cambyses decided to become one, and he did his best to behave as an Egyptian pharaoh would. He did that to appeal to the local population of Egypt. Through his actions, Cambyses connected the Egyptians to the Persians. This was unbelievable for around 2,500 years ago, as it was uncommon or had never happened before. During Darius the Great's rule over the Persian Empire, in the Phoenician cities of Tyre, Sidon, Abydos, and Byblos, there were local kings whose power was similar to a mayor in today's society. Just like how a mayor's power is limited by a governor, the local king's power was limited by Persian authority, otherwise known as a satrap. This was such an effective system that hints of it are still used today. However, now this system is similar to our federal government. Darius added on to the government system Cyrus used. Each province of the empire was governed by 3 officials, a governor or satrap, a military overseer, and a treasurer. The treasurer approved projects in which the satrap needed money for and reported to Darius. However, when improving on the government, Darius decided to keep the dual responsibility of the satrap and military commander that Cyrus had originally implemented. Along with treasurers, Darius also added royal emissaries, called secretaries of the king, that were attached to each satrap, constituting the main administrative link between the imperial court and the local governments. The secretaries were like the eyes and ears of the king. They made sure the satraps showed no signs of treason while assisting them. In order to keep up with their growing empire, Darius took Cyrus's foundation for the government and expanded on it. He created an organized and thought-out system with more layers. He did this to make sure the system was kept up to date with their empire. Therefore, the Achaemenid dynasty's kings are a representation of a frontier which had a significant impact on history because they had a diverse community within the empire and were able to create a remarkable governmental institution over 2,500 years ago. In order to create a governmental institution like the Achaemenid dynasties, the Achaemenian kings built off of what past empires and leaders had done. The kings also added good ideas from the conquered territories, which all together made sure that their empire was the best it could be and up to date. In order for their diverse empire to be connected, the kings supported other religions and cultures, which got them public approval. In fact, the Achaemenid's administrative system was so good that even modern-day US has hints of their ideas in their own. Even Alexander the Great, after conquering the dynasty in 330 BC, implemented some values from their government system into his own. 2,500 years ago, when people from conquered territories were treated poorly, it was rare to find such a large empire make those people feel welcome. The Achaemenid dynasty broke the standards of 25,000 years ago by creating a large, diverse, and functional empire. In our modern society, where it is very important to respect others no matter what culture or religion, it is so crazy that a dynasty did that 2,500 years ago.